Oh, fudge. Does anyone want some? Got nuts in it.
Hey, what's up, pups? Welcome. It is Friday. How you guys doing? My beard is flailing up a little bit. But hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. We have made it to another weekend, baby. So, hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing the best I can be for the time being. Welcome to another Power Up Podcast episode, where we talk pop culture, see what's happening there, the good, bad, ugly, all that fun stuff. Maybe have some laughs at the insanity and the retardedness, I guess you could say. But also, try to find the good stuff that we remember that makes, what we enjoy so special to us, that nostalgic feeling. But if you're new to the show, feel free to hit that subscribe and punch that thumbs up button and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live, whether that's game streaming or the show. What's up, Komanga? Friday. You know it. Laughs, yes. Laughs indeed. Indeed. We are on YouTube, Rumble, X, and my locals, so you can check me out there. And then in the description, you can find my other social media accounts. I'm on Instagram, but it's not like I use it, Sometimes I do browse every now and then, but other than that, who knows? But they're there if you want to check it out and if you want to help support the channel, always appreciate boosting up that algorithm, And of course, anything beyond that is always appreciated whenever it comes around, but humbled and blessed that you guys just take the time to hang out with me. We got some interesting stuff going on. Kind of the big ones that, kind of the main topics I would want to dive into is supposedly, old Concord that failed miserably. Apparently that cost Sony $400 million to make, and it failed that bad. And then the other one, talking about a new Devil May Cry animated series being revealed coming up in April of 2025. But the thing that caught my attention and some people comment on is Reuben Langdon is not voicing Dante in it. We've had Reuben on the show, I think, twice. So he's kind of shared his story in terms of Capcom not voicing Ken anymore. And just get to know him a little bit. So, yeah, I'm curious as to why he's not reprising his role and was even asked to. He has been, instead, Dante's being voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, which is funny because he's Nero. So you're having a weird twist going around and stuff. And right now on Twitter, Johnny confirmed it. Reuben kind of gave him his blessings, but that's pretty much it. I want to know the reason why. Because if it's with, who Reuben is as a person, what he believed in and stuff like that, that's bullshit. And it's getting tiresome of that. You have the wrong thought process or ideology or what have you. Therefore, you're not allowed to do it. That shit has got to stop. It has got to stop. And if that was the case, then why would Johnny be given the role? Because wouldn't he be guilty by association because he knows Reuben? See, that's the thing. The rules change depending on who the person is and stuff. But I'm just speculating. And then, of course, we got other articles. So let's hop in. Right now, this one I'm interested in because Mel Gibson was apparently scouting film locations in Malta for the Passion of the Christ sequel. I saw that on Twitter a little bit, and people making fun of, the fact of didn't he die in the last one? It's well, if you're being facetious, then yeah, he did die, and he rose, and he's alive right now. But a new report claims that Mel Gibson is part of an 11-member scouting team that is looking at film locations for the sequel of The Passion of the Christ. And I guess Jim Caviezel is going to be reprising his role as Christ. Itala Press reports that Gibson is among an 11-member team scouting Malta following an invitation by the Malta Film Commission. It is understood that Gibson is scouting for location to film the sequel to 2004 Passion of the Christ, which he co-wrote, produced, and directed. Scouting mission reportedly consisted of a 5-day visit and includes discussion with the Maltese authorities in connection with the film. It was revealed back in 2016, almost a decade ago. That is insane. It's been that long. I was in Nashville at the time. That Gibson was working on a sequel. I remember reading about that with Randall Wallace, informing the Hollywood Reporter that he's begun to write a script for a story about the resurrection, telling THR that the project is becoming too difficult to keep under wraps. Wallace said at the time, I always wanted to tell this story. The Passion is the beginning, and there's a lot more story to tell. Well, absolutely. Because you're wondering about the resurrection, kind of showcasing like what the disciples were going through, everybody involved in that, but also showcasing what Christ was doing at the time, because you can kind of get hints to it, because he went down into the Abuso, went down to Tartarus, however you want to pronounce it, and pretty much preached to the angel that the fallen angels that were locked away, the Watchers who commingled with the daughters of man in Genesis 6, that they've lost. They've lost. He's conquered death, and their time is pretty much limited. And at some point, they will be judged. So very interested in seeing in that, and definitely wondering, hopefully it's as scriptural based as possible. Now, you can get other stuff outside of scripture, but as long as you use scripture as like the foundation and the measuring stick, I'm definitely interested and looking forward to it. So Gibson would provide more details about the project during an interview with Greg Laurie, where he revealed the working title to be called The Resurrection. He said, of course, that's a huge undertaking, and it's not The Passion 2, it's called The Resurrection. Of course, it's a very big subject, and it needs to be looked at because we don't want to do just a simple rendering of it. We can all read what happens, but in order to really experience and explore probably deeper meanings of what it's about is going to take some doing. Well, yes, but then you'll be running into certain dogma that's attached to what people believe into, because some people have different interpretations, but of course the correct interpretation is what the Bible says. So in November, Gibson provided more information to Stephen Colbert, telling him it's more than a single event, it's an amazing event, and to underpin it with the things around it is really the story, to sort of enlighten what that means. It's not just about the event, he continued. It's not some kind of chronological telling of just that event. That could be boring, and you think, well, we've read that. We've read it, yes, but have we seen it? Has it been like put upon the screen, the big screen? That's a huge difference. He elaborated. It's predictable in that, okay, we know what happens, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, but what are the other things around that happen? Gibson continued, you're going all over the place. What happened in 3 days? He then hinted that he might explore Christ's descent into hell. Well, that's exactly what happened. That's what the scripture says. He did that. Now, the depiction of hell, that'll be interesting too, because we do get glimpses of what hell is supposed to be. Excuse me. In scripture, however, there's a difference between hell. Hell is a very broad term for anybody who knows scripture, because there's different layers. It's really called, in Hebrew, it's Sheol. In Greek, it's Hades. And that's where the spirits, the abode of the dead, stay. And we learn that from Lazarus and the rich man that Jesus talks about. And I believe it's not a parable, because every parable Jesus has taught, he doesn't name anybody. That story, he specifically names someone, Lazarus. Conveniently, also, another Lazarus had to deal with the dead. He was raised. So you got that. And then from there, you've got your, an impassable gulf, which some people might say is the abyss or the Abuso. Way down in the Abuso is Tartarus, and that's where the fallen angels are chained up. That Jude and Second Peter, I believe, states that. First or Second Peter. I need to get more on that in terms of really nailing down my scripture, my verse references, but I know it's there. And then of course your Genesis 6. Well, that talks about the commingling of the sons of God with the daughters of man. Anyway, I'm not sure, but it's worth thinking about it. Doesn't it get your imagination going, right? I mean, he said this a while back, and there he is doing the supposed, he's doing the kind of, I forget what that symbol's called, but it's always whenever anybody's like, oh, it's the occult because they're doing that stuff. And then Jim Caviezel shared that Gibson was on his 5th draft. He also boasted it's going to be a masterpiece. It's going to be the biggest film in world history. I believe it will be based on what I feel in my heart. Furthermore, he emphasized it's so imperative at this time. These films can't be made now. The films that they make are Marvel comic movies. You'll see Superman. You won't see Jesus. I got to play the greatest superhero there ever was. This is true. There is true. A lot of, Christian-based films fail because, let's be real, Hollywood is very liberal, and a lot of polytheism takes place in Hollywood. And polytheists like to tell their version of the story of history, not, scriptural-based stories. So aside from the Passion of the Christ Resurrection, Gibson's Flight Risk, which he directs, that stars Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and Topher Grace, arrives on January 24th, 2025. He's also working on a 5th Lethal Weapon film. So very cool. Here we go. Good job, Mel Gibson. So we got that. Let's see. Here's a rumor that might have just broke not too long ago. So Square Enix has supposedly has completed a remake for Final Fantasy IX. Scooper claims that Square Enix has completed a remake of Final Fantasy IX after it was originally developed by Zine. Ex-user Ryan from Bronx claims the developer of FF9R was originally Zine. The project moved in-house at Square Enix earlier this year for graphical refinement purposes. Uh-oh. We see what they're doing with, Dragon's Quest 3. That's not good. Whoops. And the title looks similar to Memoria Project. Development is complete. And then earlier this month, a Scooper claimed that both the 9 remake and Final Fantasy Tactics remake would be out by next year. Claimed that an unannounced project that Creative Studio 3 is working on is Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered. Then Yoshi P, the head of the Creative Studio 3, told Famitsu via the translation from DeepL, "We are also working on a smaller but still unannounced project." Yoshi P added, "Some people may think that we are going to be on the defense, focusing mainly on our mainstay Final Fantasy 7. Or no, that's not 7. 14, but Creative Studio 3 will continue to take on challenges." And then Yoshi P did indicate it was time to make another Final Fantasy Tactics game back in April. In an interview with The Gamer, he discussed how the Final Fantasy, that would be 6, right? Or 16 team was inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12. We have a lot of our staff who work on previous games like Final Fantasy Tactics and 12, so you're going to have a lot of the tactics feel because a lot of the same people are on the team. Next, he hinted that a Final Fantasy Tactic game might be on the horizon. We love tactics as well. It's probably about time that we do a new one. And then returning for the 9 remake, this is not the first time rumors have surfaced regarding 9. Scooper Midori from Game Rant has claimed the game was in development, and then another individual also claimed in March in a now deleted post that Square Enix was developing a remake and shared the main idea as a remake as faithful as possible to the original. Mine is probably your artwork and men and women, because we've seen what Square Enix is doing with that. Definitely much more modest than Final Fantasy VII in terms of budget. And then just a quick recap of Final Fantasy IX, which I still need to play. And then some reports from, I guess, Steam about copies being sold since 2016. Still has a sizable player base with 434 players playing the game concurrently. And that's pretty much where the article ends. You interested in playing the Final Fantasy IX remake? I am, if they stay true to what it is. It really isn't hard. It is not hard. In all honesty, a lot of people are simply like, keep men men and keep the females females. That's pretty much all you have to do. Who cares if it's risque or whatever like that? Don't fucking change it, because people remember that back in the day. That's what it is. Just make it with today's technology. That's it. Do not modernize it. Do not listen to the weirdos out there who try to say, something in there needs to be changed because it's not with the current times. They can go fist themselves right up the butthole. Just literally do what Shadow of Colossus did. Come on. It is not hard. There you go. Another rumor supposedly happening. Let's see. We got some Dragon Ball Sparking news. I'll save that for a little bit later. Oh, here's a funny one. I think I have... I have two... Oops, I have like two of the same articles open. Whoopsies. Anyway, let's see. Where is it? Here we go. This is funny. Check this out. So, rumor Concord game director Ryan Ellis steps down after game's abysmal failure. Uh-oh. It's going down. So a new rumor claims that Concord game director Ryan Ellis stepped down from his position after the game's abysmal failure that saw its servers shut down about 2 weeks after it launched. Wasn't it like less than 2 weeks? Ellis announced the game would shutter in a blog post on the PlayStation blog at the beginning of September. He shared, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we intended. Well, what exactly did you intend? I think you intended that people were just going to be suckers and just buy it because it was progressive. And how many times do we have to say that doesn't sell, that fails miserably? Now, huge difference. Now, some people could try to be like, well, look at Last of Us Part 2. That did well. It's like, well, first of all, that was already established. Number two, that was like a well-received game, is what I say. I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece because it's not. By no means is it. It's a really good, solid game, but it's not a masterpiece by any means. But then, Neil went woke. The people, believe a lot of people who originally worked at Naughty Dogs have left, and only, Kuckerman's the only one left. And then they made that woke PSA announcement game that is Last of Us Part 2. So completely different. And then, of course, they hyped it up to being the most, awesome thing that they've ever seen. Then the leaks happened. They got ass mad, so then they attacked Ghost of Tsushima, for that one guy supposedly whitewashing, when he was playing the loot. And then, in my personal opinion, definitely the judges were biased towards Last of Us Part 2 because it won all the awards when clearly the better game was Ghost of Tsushima. But in any case, got that. What's up, the Otaku Paradise? Good to see you back. I'm a little bit upset about the DMC thing, but at least they went to somebody who's a friend with Reuben, and this isn't a toxic replacement, if you will. Yeah, we haven't talked about that. We'll get there. We'll get there soon. However, I think it's incredibly stupid that the person that plays another character in the DMC universe is playing the main character. Yeah, that's the big thing. They've already talked about. People have already commented on how Nero is now Dante. Also find it annoying that the one good person that we know publicly left Capcom and was forced out. It looks like he was friends with Reuben, said Dante is always Reuben. The thing that gets me, though, is isn't it amazing on how the same guy is replacing everybody who has essentially been kicked out in one way, shape, or form? Look at Vic. He got kicked out. Johnny Young Bosch replaced him as a Broly. Reuben now, which I'm still curious because I know, like I said, I know on X, Reuben has given him his blessings and stuff, but I want to know if Reuben was even asked to reprise his role. Was he even asked? Because that's my big thing. If he wasn't asked, then they're a bunch of assholes. That's fine if Reuben and Johnny are buddies. But then again, that doesn't make any sense to me either, because with Vic's situation, Reuben was outcasted because he was guilty by association, because he had no idea what was happening. Reuben explained this on my show. He didn't know what was happening. He got booted out. So why is Johnny Young Bosch, maintaining all this stuff? Isn't he guilty by association? This is hypothetical. I'm not saying it. Not saying something should happen, but I also do believe that a lot of these people are expendable. And the fact is that if your ideology is interfering with your work, then yeah, you should definitely be replaced. Because all you need to do is just do your job. You can believe whatever you want, but that shouldn't affect the final product. And a lot of these people are now poisoning their job with their ideology, which was never the case to begin with. Anyway, back to here, though. He then declared, therefore, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, explore options that will better reach our players. We will determine the best path ahead. Concord sales will cease immediately. Begin to offer full refunds for all gamers who purchase the game on PS5 or PC. But now a new rumor from, Kotaku. Kotaku's Ethan Gatch claims that Ellis has stepped down from his position as game director. This might be the one honest thing that that Kotaku has written about. Why would they lie about a game that I'm sure that they were trying to hype up? Ethan wrote, Ryan Ellis told staff at Firewalk last week that he would be stepping down from the game directing role and move into a support role instead, according to 3 sources familiar with the change. This should not be a surprise, given it's quite difficult to be a game director when you do not have a game to create. Aside from this rumor that Ellis has stepped down as game director, Gosh claims there's sources inside Firewalk Studios inform him that they are pessimistic about Concord returning. Good. When you make a game that's catering to a very fringe, weird minority, it needs to fail miserably. And I am super glad that it did fail miserably. I hope this is a huge wake-up call to companies and CEOs all over that making games specifically like this fails. Fails. It is not a selling point. DEI, wokeism is not a selling point. And especially when it's forced. That's the key thing. See, these people are terrified because they believe if they don't do it, nothing's ever going to happen. When if you let it happen naturally, when you just let it happen naturally, it'll come. But these people have to hijack the gaming industry because, again, they've looked at the numbers and they freak out when the majority of people in gaming are white males, when they can't just accept the fact that, yeah, that's just how it is. Males like to play video games. Sorry. Hate to tell you that. Compare between men and women, men usually like video games a lot more than women. DEI equals die. Yep. He also indicated that there is uncertainty as to what happens to the studio moving forward. While some may have been asked to pitch new projects, others are speculating that they might get moved to other studios within the PlayStation Studio networks. Still, others believe that layoffs are around the corner. This information is not new. Firewalk Studio senior concept artist Amanda Keffer previously revealed employees were terrified of the future after the game was shut down. She wrote on X, "I was going to DM you after seeing this, but the site makes me pay to do that. So at the risk of getting dogpiled, I'm just going to say this here. A lot affected the art side of Concord, including design by committee, failure of some leadership to listen to the art team, etc." She continued, "The character concept art team, including myself, is going through an extremely difficult time emotionally. Get out of the industry then, if you can't handle it. And some of the team no longer want to work on games, design characters, or even do art anymore after this." Because of this posts like yours, though understandable and unfortunately ill-timed, none of us know which way the wind will blow with the studio. We are worried, sick, and terrified of the future. Not only that, but we have been shouldering the brunt of the emotional labor as executives, directors dodge most of the blame. Oh, boo-hoo. See, always an excuse. It's never their fault. Always the excuse. Never just admitting the fact that no one asked for whatever it was you were doing. Sorry. Behind the scenes of all this talk about Concord and character designs, people's livelihood are at risk. I hate this argument because everybody's livelihood is at risk in reality. Like, oh my gosh. And there are very real financial consequences that might hurt us even more. Again, to me, that's just life. That happens to everybody. That can happen to everybody, you know? She concluded, "That's just why I can say from our point of view, not saying change course or anything, us artists like being able to use social media to promote our work and get jobs, but I'm saying we see this and it does absolutely affect us since we just got our teeth kicked in. It's quite possible that Firewalk Studios gets the Bungie treatment at the end of July. Bungie, which is also a subsidiary of PlayStation Studios like Firewalk, laid off around 78% of its staff, transferred a 12% to other companies within Sony, then spun off an incubation project, which included an estimated 80 or so people in its own studio. All right, now we're just getting into Bungie. Yeah, now they're just, the rest is just like Bungie information. So, Video Game Chronicles also wrote an article about this too. So, Concord director is reportedly stepping down as the game's return remains in limbo. Citing 3 sources familiar with the move, the publication says Ellis was emotional when initially speaking to staff after the game's launch, when it was clear that it was going to be a major failure. Ryan deeply believed in that project and bringing players together through the joy in it, one former developer told Kotaku, regardless of there being things that could have been done differently throughout development. He's a good human and full of heart. Earlier this month, Sony announced plans to take Concord offline, pull the game from sales, offer refunds to players who bought it just 2 weeks after launch. News followed reports that the PS5 and PC games may have sold as few as 25,000 copies across both platforms since its release on August 23rd. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord and PlayStation 5. I want to thank everyone who's joined the journey aboard the North Star. Yeah, it's the same thing that we kind of read already. Therefore, at this time, we have decided... Oh, we've read that too. It's not clear yet what the future of Concord will be, nor is it known whether Firewalk will continue to lead on the game's development. Despite its failure, Amazon Prime's Video's upcoming animated anthology Secret Level will still reportedly retain its episode based on Concord and will not remove it from the lineup. I feel like I remember reading about this once, but I didn't fully remember. Secret Level. What is Secret Level? It's a new adult animated anthology series featuring original story sets within the universe or within the worlds of various video game series. 15 episodes based on intellectual properties such as Pac-Man, Armored Core, Mega Man. How'd they get Mega Man? Spelunky, The Outer Worlds 2, Sifu, Unreal Tournaments, and Exodus. And then they're like, oh, you know what we need to do? We need to have an episode dedicated to Concord. And they remained in the line. I guess IGN reports that according to its sources, it will remain in the lineup and it will still be present when the series arrives on Prime Video on December 10. Secret Levels from Blur Studio, the animation design company founded by Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool of 2016, Terminator Dark Fate, and Love, Death, and Robots. I mean, Deadpool, that's good. Didn't Dark Fate not do so well? And I don't even know Love, Death, and Robots. Here's the trailer. I guess we could watch it real quick. Wow, that was loud.
It's time. This world has waited for your arrival.
So what? Like each episode just takes place in a different universe? Like, is there like no connection between any of them? And why is it called Secret Level? What's secret about it? 15. It says inspired by your favorite video games. Does that necessarily mean like that they're not actually basing it on their video games? Oh, there was Mega Man. Clearly, saw Kratos there. Guy covered in blood. Yeah, I only know so much of those. Dungeons and Dragons, Pac-Man, Honor of Kings, Armored Core, Mega Man. Secret Level. Ah. I know I'm not going to watch it. Doesn't really suit me. Mostly because they'll probably do something like terrible to it. I guess since we're on Concord, we'll look into the supposed rumor that it cost. I got two articles, one from, again, Video Game Chronicle and Park Place. Sony's Concord reportedly cost $400 million to develop. The game was reportedly referred to as the future of PlayStation internally. Terrible, terrible label. How'd that turn out for you? So that's according to PlayStation podcast Sacred Symbols, which claims that the game, which was recently taken offline by PlayStation after just 2 weeks on sale, was referred to as the future of PlayStation internally. I feel like they're stating this, but I feel like it's one of those things where it was like maybe a handful of people were saying it, not everybody. But then it was like it just, they just ran with it. Sony offered refunds to all players. We know about that. So Colin Moriarty right here. I spoke extensively with someone who worked on Concord, and it's so much worse than you think. It was internally referred to as the future of PlayStation with Star Wars-like potential. Oh my gosh. Dude, not even close. Not even close. And we're all seeing how Star Wars is doing right now. Not good. And a dev culture of toxic positivity halted any negative feedback. Gosh. Making it cost $400 million. The reports also claim that a culture of toxic positivity shut down any potential pushback to the game's direction internally. The game's director reportedly stood down last week, according to Kotaku. Okay, we've read that already. We've also already deeply believed in the project, bringing players together. Sorry, Ryan, but you backed the wrong pony. A lot of people called this. They saw the writing on the wall. They understood what was going to happen. News reports. What? Okay, so literally they just did that, and then they just padded it from the article we literally just read. Well, that didn't really provide us a whole lot of information. Except supposedly. I mean,
I want to talk about Concord. I wasn't going to ever talk about this game again. Because who really gives a shit? However,
yeah.
And I don't do journalism really anymore, as you guys know. And we talk
waste
about
of money,
I was a journalist
absolutely.
at one time, and I used to break a lot of stories. And
yeah, we're not listening to that. Maybe that Park Place has some more info. So Concord reportedly cost $400 million to develop. That does not include what it costs Sony to purchase developer Firewalk Studios. So a rumor for Colin Moriarty, the host of Sacred Symbols, claims that Firewalk Studios Concord, which was shut down around 2 weeks after it was released, cost $400 million to develop. He detailed in a video uploaded to X that he spoke extensively with a Concord insider who informed him that it cost about $400 million to make. He went to reveal that Probably Monsters, the original owner of Firewalk Studios and Concord before selling to PlayStation Studios, Sony and the game's original investors had spent $200 million on the game before it even made it to its alpha state. Oh no. Up to that point, the game went to alpha state. They had already spent $200 million on it, and it's unclear how much of that money is from Probably Monsters, and the original investors into the game, and how much of that was from Sony. Next, he shared, when the game had $200 million spent on it, and was basically in an alpha form in Q1 of 2023. From that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. Scuttlebutt behind the scene about Concord is that the game was in a laughable shape when it was shown. Basically, when the alpha was ready to go, he continued, it was in such horrible shape that Sony felt they needed to spend that much money again. So 200 plus 200 to get the game to the MVP status, not to the status of it being a great game, to get it to just viability. Oh my gosh, dude. Come on, people. And the question is, if it was in that horrible shape, sounds to me you're not hiring competent people that should be working on it. Major expense was to urgently outsource much of the game to other studios to finish building the game out, he shared, and that 2 fundamental games were not worked on at all up to the point in which the game was shown in alpha. Onboarding, nothing about that. There was nothing about how players make their character, all that kind of stuff, or choice their character and get their monetization. 2 very expensive, very specific, and boutique things that happen to games like this. Later in the video, he claimed that executives at Sony and specifically PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulst were championing the game and believed the game could be their Star Wars. Dude, delusional. 100% delusional. Oh my gosh. Maybe this guy was just lying just to make the people working on the game not feel bad, but you know that at Sony they were describing the game as the future of PlayStation, that they had such major ambition for this game that it was referred to internally as a Star Wars project for Sony. Oh, please. That it can be repeatedly revisited over and over and over again. It's not going to be revisited now. Not only across media, but in what we're seeing. What? He pointed to the game being featured in Prime Video. Oh my dude. Prime Video is not going to save this. Dude, Prime Video is not going to save the face of Concord. I'm sorry. It's Amazon. You know, the only reason we see what they're doing with the Lord of the Rings, you know, of course they're going to say, we'll do a Concord episode. Of course they're going to pick that up. It's like, we got Prime Video to pick up Concord. That means it's, you know, such a promising game and promising series that will last for future generations. No, it won't. Oh my gosh. Next, she shared that there was a toxic positivity vibe. He stated, you weren't allowed to say anything internally about this game. What? About how something is wrong with it. Character designs are not right. They really, truly believed. This was Herman Hulst's baby, apparently, and he internally was himself a massive champion of the game. Wait, you weren't supposed to say anything bad about it? That's just straight up delusional and denial right there. And people with that mentality need to be removed immediately, because you need to be able to handle criticism. See, this is what, and again, this is why these games fail. This is why the people who have infiltrated the gaming industry suck and fail and ruin everything, and they need to be removed, is because they cannot handle criticism, because their ego and their spirits are so fragile that any sort of criticism is seen as negative or an attack on them. And so they just project all that back onto other people, saying, well, it's not our game that sucks. It's your guys' fault that it sucks. No, it's because the concept was garbage. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when you say, why didn't this game do well and whatnot, you just got to say,
that's your problem, fuckface.
Got to say that it's your problem. You're the reason why it failed. So the idea that the game had a toxic positivity vibe, even that sounds gay. I hate the word toxic. Toxic has been absolutely destroyed with the Zoomer lingo and the woke lingo. Rings true, given a source close to Probably Monsters informed that Park Place, that Probably Monsters had been shaken to its core due to not only the game's failure, but to the extent that it failed. Predator. That's actually the Creditor. That is from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's the Creditor. He has very good low interest rates. These sources also informed that Park Place that the company did indeed have discussions beforehand about how heavy it would embrace woke ideology. Well, there's the telltale sign right there that it's going to fail. So that's just literally putting on a mask. Just pretending everything's okay when it's not. I love Aqua Teen Hunger Force. As shown in the game's final product, it does not appear that dissenting voices were able to bring any reason to those wanting to insert the woke ideology, and now it appears executives want to bury their heads in the sand. Well, they always do. If what Moriarty and his source claim are true, Concord is even more epic disaster than originally imagined and appears to point to massive incompetence and managerial malpractice at Sony and PlayStation. Good. Good. Concord, here is one good thing that Concord did throughout its existence, is that it revealed on how incompetent and how retarded people are in the video game industry. This is one of those things where you should not feel bad that everybody involved in Concord and whatnot failed miserably. Because at the end of the day, they may think that, you know, it shattered their soul and everything sucks and whatnot. But you got to take a look at this, guys, whoever worked on Concord. Thanks to you, you gave us an excellent example to showcase on why your stupid shit, your stupid ideology that you have to vomit out onto everybody else fails and sucks and doesn't sell. So now you can take this and you can then maybe change your ways, change how you think, learn to realize that you should be making games that tell great stories as opposed to a game that is literally like your high school clique. It's only for us. You know, back in the day in high school when you had your cliques, you had your groups, and I'm sure people have run into like the ones where, you know, it's the handful of people that were always hanging out, always together. They'll say a reference, they'll all laugh, and you're the odd one out just sitting there. And then it's like, oh, you got to be there. You just had to be there. This is what this is. Your inside jokes, your inside, oh, you had to have just been there or you had to have been in the group, doesn't work in video games. That's the reason why. And especially when that joke is woke ideology, oh, that's definitely going to fail. So that was that part, places. Definitely more in depth than Video Game Chronicles. So we are definitely zipping through a lot of stuff, but here we go at the main thing. So Netflix releases trailer for animated Devil May Cry, Splinter Cell, Tomb Raider, and Cyberpunk shows. Dude, that Tomb Raider one looks absolutely awful. That looks god-awful. So as a part of its Geeked Week presentation, the streaming service showed trailers for its Tomb Raider, Splinter Cell, and Devil May Cry shows and also teased a new Cyberpunk show. First of these set to be released is Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft, which is coming to Netflix on October 10, and it looks terrible. The game will be set, you mean the series will be set after the events of the Survivor trilogy, which consists of the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, of course, because they hate the original Lara Croft. Also shown was a trailer for Splinter Cell Death Watch, animated series created by Netflix and Ubisoft Film and Television. Not much information has been shared on the show yet, which was simply described as coming soon. And trailer for Devil May Cry was shown too. Based on Capcom's action adventure series, this show is led by Adi Shankar, who was showrunner of Netflix Castlevania series and animated studio Mir, The Legend of Korra, and will premiere in April 2025. So here's your stuff. Here's your Devil May Cry right here. Finally, a teaser was shown for a new Cyberpunk series played in collaboration with CD Projekt Red. With little more than the message returning to Night City, the teaser didn't reveal whether the show will be a second season of Cyberpunk Edgerunners or an entirely new show, and that the country manager, Satoru Honmo of CG Projekt Red Japan, said in 2022 there were no plans to continue the story of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. But apparently, I guess the chief commercial officer from CG Projekt suggesting it is working on another project with Studio Trigger. Well, let's check out Devil May Cry.
The way he moves, the hits he took.
His name
is Dante.
Dante.
What kind of work do you do exactly?
Demon hunting.
Yeah, that's straight up. Straight up Johnny Young Bosch. Yeah. Okay. I'm wondering, did they get the other, like, if the other characters are in the game as well, like Nero and Virgil and stuff, are they going to get, like, are those people going to reprise their roles?
The gates of hell will be open soon.
It's a rabbit.
Hope to see you all there.
And I like how they still have the Frank Underwood, like, knocking. All right, so I had the same article open from Video Game Chronicles. So Devil May Cry animated series. This is from Niche Gamer. Reveals April 2025. I wonder if they have anything to add. Nope, just the trailer. But I did find this. Netflix's Devil May Cry anime seems to have its voice actors mixed up, as Johnny Young Bosch is confirmed to be voicing Dante. It's part of Netflix... this is from PC Gamer. It's part of Netflix's Geeked Weekend. We saw new trailers for some video game adaptations, sneak peek of Arcane Season 2, small teaser for Cyberpunk, and new Devil May Cry. It's not at all hard to impress me when it comes to this adaptation, though I was obsessed over the new trailer. I found myself wondering why I recognized Dante's voice actor. Certainly wasn't Reuben Langdon who voiced him in the games, but it still sounded familiar. To my surprise, it turns out that Johnny Young Bosch will be voicing Dante in the Netflix anime. Ken confirmed, Netflix Geek's official trailer account says. That is Johnny Young Bosch voicing Dante in Devil May Cry. I'm never disappointed to hear Bosch's superb voice acting. I've been a fan ever since I first heard him voice Ichigo Kurosaki in Bleach, but this choice is rather strange as Bosch already voices another character in the same universe, Nero. Nero became a playable character in Devil May Cry 4 and Devil May Cry 5, and he's also Dante's nephew, which some fans have pointed out could muddy the waters. Yep. Bad choice in my opinion. It would be different if Bosch at least didn't sound exactly like Nero as Dante. But yeah, that's just straight up Nero's voice coming out of Dante, and it's very weird, one fan points out. If Netflix does release subsequent seasons, which I hope they do, it's in a bit of a sticky situation. Either Bosch voices both characters, which would be absolutely bullshit, or you get a third secret voice actor to voice Nero instead. We'll have that. We'll pull up. We got the tweet here. Some fans have pointed out just how impressive Bosch's range is. He's not like some voice actors who are generally very recognizable. Yeah, his voice range is good, but you can still kind of pick him out. Sorry. He's got a surprising range and is very skilled at acting. If he just changes his tone of voice and the way he emphasizes things, I doubt people would actually be able to peg him as the voice of Nero. I get that, but the fact of the matter is I want to know why Reuben Langdon, I guess I could just ask him, but I want to know why I do want to know behind the story. Because, again, we know his situation with Capcom with Ken, because of literally being asked his thoughts about the Vic Mignogna situation. He's like, I have no idea. Anytime I interacted with him, I was fine. And you can check back on my show when he was on, and he explained it, and he even did an X space about stuff. And then, he got let off and stuff. Again, if this is all stemmed back from him being associated with the wrong people and his own beliefs, which he was very vocal about the jab, and he was very vocal about, alien stuff like that and whatnot. And January 16th, January 6th. Like this guilty of association with wrongthink, like that's bullshit. That's 100% fucking bullshit. And I'm so fucking tired of companies doing that. And again, why does Johnny Young Bosch get the get out of jail free card? Because if Capcom doesn't like Reuben anymore because of the whole Vic situation, and Johnny is on good terms with Reuben, shouldn't he not be? See this trickle effect? Because they're spreading this out enough to where it's like you're guilty. If you're guilty by association, you're not allowed to participate. So why is he? So, then it just Just keep the ripple effects going then. But they're not going to do that because then at some point their power would be threatened. And of course, they're not going to want to give up that. Let's see. The easy solution would just be have Dante's original voice actor. Yep. I will never argue against Bosch's being a superb actor, but I was able to recognize his voice within seconds of hearing it. Yeah, this is why he definitely has a good range. And I enjoy his acting, but you learn to recognize the voices of people in the acting industry at one point or another. You learn to know to pick up that stuff real quick. And this has been established long enough to know that Reuben is Dante. And that was even before I had my morning coffee, so I'm not exactly convinced about that. The easy solution would have been just to have Dante's original voice actor, Reuben Langdon, voice his character in the anime, but unfortunately it doesn't seem as if that was a viable option. While some theorize that Langdon's grizzled tones weren't picked up with the anime's young, flashy rendition of Dante, I have a feeling it might be because of his social media presence. Yeah, I saw some people say that too, that like, oh, this is young Dante, and Reuben can't do it because he's like close to 50 years old. It's like, you do realize that Johnny Young Bosch is also around the same age, right? I looked this up. Johnny Young Bosch is 48. So he's getting to that 50 mark. And Reuben Langdon is 49. They are 1 year difference. So do not give me this bullshit that because, he just sounds scruffy looking. I think that's what people like, by the way, too. And like, how young is Dante in this? And that's not to say Reuben couldn't put on a more younger voice. Like the OG Neon Genesis Evangelion people, even though Funimation did 3.0, I think a 3.0 and 1.0 version, and then the OG thing came and did their own version, they still sounded fine. So in the past several months, Langdon has had a controversial presence on social media, all of which accumulated in a Spaces meet that not only disappointed fans, but made it quite clear why he hasn't reprised his role of Dante in the Devil May Cry mobile game, Peak of Combat, or Ken in Street Fighter 6. Here's a summary from one of his stunned viewers. Well, the Ken from Street Fighter stuff was straight up the Vic situation, from what I remember from when he was on my show. Oh, this is from Reddit. The anime currently being produced has nothing to do with Capcom, as it's just a license for the IP. Is not in contact with those helming this project, but its lack of voice acting for the anime does not mean he's canceled from Capcom. Wait, when was this? This was 7 months ago. Okay. It's likely he's been growing his own food and stuff. Yeah, he's been anti-vax, doing your own research. Oh, I have this up as well. Can confirmed. Anyway. Let's see. The whole thing was just so bizarre. I didn't write down anything, or even most things like the stuff about Trump, the media, Gaza, and a lot more. It was a 2.5 hour of an article of an articulate and kind-sounding man just talking about totally wild and crazy things while being verbally egged on by a random Twitter man. These wild and crazy things, as summarized by said viewer, includes repeating several COVID-19 conspiracy theories, agreeing with Putin on unfounded claims that Nazis are controlling Ukraine, and defending J.K. Rowling in the wake of her nefarious transphobic remarks. The funny thing is with the COVID-19 stuff, a lot of that stuff that he said has been proven to be true. A lot of the stuff that the WHO said was conspiracy theories have now affirmed that, yeah, we were lying. Capcom has never officially fired Reuben or given a reason for his lack of appearance in recent games, but it really does seem like we should get comfortable with hearing a new voice for Dante. Who knows? Maybe they'll recast Nero, or maybe Bosch will be able to pull a stellar performance out of the bag that sounds entirely new. Either way, I'm not too worried. I'm worried because that is 100% bullshit that you have to have a certain thought process in order to stay, in order to, preserve your artwork or preserve whatever. I hate this shit. I fucking hate this stupid shit. None of this was a problem back in the day because all of that crap was kept behind the scenes. It did not affect the final product. These people, not Reuben or anybody like that, but these people, these woke assholes, have made it to where now the product needs to consist of their ideology. It needs to consist of progressiveness. And if you do not agree with it or you do not go along with it, you get kicked out. You're seen as the enemy. You're not a fan. That's one of my biggest ones. The whole "you're not a real fan" thing is such a fucking piece of garbage. I hate that crap. I hate it when people use that stuff. Because the truth of the matter is usually when anybody ever says that, they were never real fans to begin with. Or they were normies that just latched on to the woke clout in hopes that they'll get something in return or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I've seen, really, in terms of what the... I guess we could... Here, let me see here. Let's see. Because I saw that and I asked and I said, what the heck? Where did it go? Here we go. So I replied, interesting. Was Reuben Langdon given any opportunity to reprise his role? But here, we'll bring up the main thread here. Whoops. Get over here. No. Damn it. Hold on. Here we go. So someone asked, is it Johnny Young Bosch? Can't confirm. There's my response. So here's Reuben right here. So congrats, Johnny is a legend and already part of the DMC family. He says, thanks, brother. You'll always be my Dante. Then, and then Reuben's like, I have a feeling the Yahweh artists are already all over this. LOL. All the best of two of you. Only person I'm satisfied replacing you. Me too. Curious to see Johnny in the role. See, unfortunately, we're not getting Capcom as a joke. I want to know the reason why. I'm glad Reuben's like giving his blessings and everything like that. Thanks, brother. You'll always be my Dante. Well, to be rather blunt, Johnny, to be rather blunt, if you truly believe that Reuben should be Dante, why did you accept the role? Why didn't you turn it down and say, no, I believe that Reuben should be playing this? I know. I understand. Giving credit to Reuben's work and everything like this. But the people who usually say, no, like, stuff like this, you had the prime opportunity to say no to that and to stand up to your principal that if you truly believed that Reuben is Dante, then you should have told whoever it was to contact Reuben first to see if he could fill out the role. Sorry. Now, of course, I understand this can stem off into, you know, like in the voice acting industry, like, oh, you grew up with this person always being this person. And then later on, you know, there's a revival of the series. Prime example of Dragon Ball Z, like Dragon Ball Kai. You know, why wasn't Stephanie brought back to play as Kid Gohan? Everyone else came back. Stephanie wasn't allowed to for some reason. Colin Klinkenbeard played young Gohan. But now apparently Stephanie's coming back for Kid Goku and Daima. Johnny doesn't want to stir the pot. I understand that, but these people expect you to not, and I'm not saying like Johnny or anything like that, but these people who cater of the fact, especially in the voice acting industry, there needs to be more representation. There needs to be this. There needs to be that. You know, you need a, you know, this person, I'm going to give this role to the, you know, this person or whatnot. I'm trying to really I feel like I've explained this before and I'm trying to formulate the words again. But practice what you preach. I guess an example I can give that I've given before is the Helena Taylor situation with Bayonetta 3. If it was true, Jennifer Hale voiced Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3. One of the top people out there, one of the top voice actors out there that preach about progressiveness, equality, you know, being more diverse, XYZ, fairness. If it turned out that Helena Taylor was indeed telling the truth when she said that she wasn't offered a good enough amount of money or whatever she said, would Jennifer Hale demand that the studio not use her voice and said, you need to give this to Helena Taylor? No. They're not going to do this. So yeah, I'm sorry, but like a lot of these people say stuff like this, but they don't practice what they preach when a perfect situation arises to practice what you preach. They don't do it. And I'm not saying Johnny does that. Like Johnny's that type of person, but I don't like it. I don't like it. This is why, you know, at the end of the day, where I do believe, you know, everyone is expendable in the sense of, yeah, you know, if you didn't do the job that we wanted, you weren't this, you weren't that, you're not hired again. That's one thing. But if you're not hired simply because you have wrong think, I hate that shit. That's fucking bullshit. So yeah, still really haven't we haven't gotten a question about why he wasn't asked to reprise his role, or if he was even offered to reprise his role. But let's end on something more uplifting, like Dragon Ball Z sparkling, Dragon Ball sparking zero. See, the Z is in there; it's in the zero. Dragon Ball Sparkling Water Zero. So apparently confirms final 20 plus characters in the new trailer. Gets what you're saying. I wish Other would stand up and not chicken out and go along with this trash. Yep, that's where sadly that's where the people got to fail. It's where people got to fail. That's where, you know, localizers, for example, have to be replaced by AI. They need to learn the lesson to shut up, do your fucking job, do not insert any specific ideology into your localizing of anime. You pick the most neutral one as you possibly can, and you move on. Like the Zoomer lingo, all this shit. It's not that hard. I hate to say it, but it's not that hard for localizers. And now your asses are getting replaced by AI. Because at least AI, you can tell it to do what it's told. Anyway, the new trailer confirms even more playable characters for its main roster, 27 in total, bringing the final tally of characters to that whopping 181. And the new characters are Broly Z Super Saiyan, Broly Z Legendary Super Saiyan, Cooler, Metal Cooler, Cooler, Final Form, Android 13, Fusion Android 13, Super Garlic Jr., Dr. Wheelo, Lord Slug, Giant Form, my boy Turles, yeah, Bojack, Full Power Bojack, Kaba Super Saiyan 2, Frost, Toppo the God of Destruction, and the Frieza Force Soldier. This is what I'm talking about. This Frieza Force Soldier should not be in the roster. No one's going to fucking play as Frieza Force Soldier. You might play it like as a joke, but it doesn't need to be in there. This is what the garbage I'm talking. This is why I don't care about a big roster list. And let's be real. The only reason why the big roster list is big is because they're making separate characters. Like Broly and then Broly Z Super Saiyan, you know? Didn't the Raging Blast, weren't they able to consolidate the characters, under one? Like one base character, and then from there you can, like, meet the certain criteria. It's been a while. But I know that's kind of what Tenkaichi established back in the day. Let's see that trailer, though. Apparently I was, like, skimming through it. It's like 11 minutes. Is this the new one? I don't think it is. Super and movies. Oh, no. It is. All right, let's go. Here, let's see if I can make that bigger for you guys. Oh, it's going to ruin my crap.
売前最後のアナウンスとしてゲームモードのボリュームが最も多い悟空については
So it's kind of showcasing like the different story modes, you can tell. Pretty cool. You can set the character's position and poses during your cutscenes. See, that aura looked a lot better than what I thought it would. That looks alright too. バトル中に起こるイベントでご説明。ボリュームは様々です。例えば自分のヒットポイントが 30% 以下になったら強制的にスパークターに関して Here we go. Here's your new trailer.
My goodness, you must be some kind of idiot to face me. Here I am. Yeah, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, right.
Say we continue this fight on the
Wasn't aware it was in English, but
No, the unstoppable might of the Frieza Force. The whole universe.
see, Frieza Force Soldier should not be in there. There's a pool in here, I'm assuming.
The world I've been dreaming of for so long will be made manifest. Forging a new world isn't for you to do. It's up to us humans. Let's go. I'll blow everything away.
Seriously? I'll take you out.
Gosh, I hate those characters.
On the flight of the Saiyans.
Well then, let's carry on, shall we?
I must be victorious. Triangle danger B.
Yeah, the game does look awesome, though. I am excited for it, that is for sure.
Better not embarrass Master.
Okay, there's him Super Saiyan 2.
That's what they trusted me. Can't back down.
Where's my boy Turles? It said there was Turles. I didn't see him. Where is he? Yeah, I wish Stephanie could have voiced Kid Goku.
Whoa! Looks like there's lots of powerful opponents still out there.
Yep.
Good. You wanna die?
Yeah, you can hear in his like screams that's Johnny. That's not Vic. There's Cooler. Sounds just like from the movie. Very nice. I liked Metal Cooler's voice.
Suppose I could run you over before I killed Goku. Commencing the final test.
Android. Hick Android 13.
There's nothing you can do.
Wonder if they have Android 14 and 15.
Buzzing around me like a pest. Dead zone. It will absorb everything.
Dang, that looks cool. And Dr. Wheelo. I feel like I've only watched World's Strongest like twice.
I feel like my old, young self again.
Oh, that sucks because Bryce Armstrong passed away. He was the original Lord Slug. He was great as Lord Slug.
Have you come for the fruit of the tree of might?
Yeah, my boy Turles.
With my new power, I now have no equal.
Nice. Love that move. I liked Chris Patton's voice of Turles. Thought it was good. I liked his savageness of it. World's Strongest I love. Heard again.
Get back, Trunks. I'll take over. You will not spread your
Capion.
to this planet. Disappear.
There's Janemba. Very cool.
少年期の悟空といただける機会で11
Very
し
nice.
ますので続報をお待ちください。
Someone did point out on Twitter, or I guess X, that it's too bad they didn't have like teen Goku like from the World 23rd Budokai, like when he fights Piccolo Jr. Cola. But in any case, that's all I have for tonight. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, or follow me over on X if you so wish. But pretty solid. Pretty solid, I think. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. But anyway, I'll catch you guys later. You have a good rest of your night. Take care. God bless. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.